stuff that I can do here.
Oh, great.
Yeah. No, I'm not meaning to do it weird. We're not even going to get into it. We're going to bust it out and do this. So, welcome everybody. My name is Brother Fluff, and this is On the Point Podcast. And today we have a special guest with us, Jeff Snyder. And Jeff is kind of doing something a little crazy. He's running for a Grand International line. He is a Master Mason, of course. He has on his grotto shirt, as you can see. And we're going to get to know Jeff and understand a little bit more about him. So, Jeff, thank you so much for agreeing to come on the show and talk to us a little bit about your Masonic career and what you got going on. So let me ask you something. What do you do for a living? What is your life like? Do you have family? Do you have kids? How do you fit all of this into your world?
I'll tell you, it's crazy. By the way, thank you for allowing me to come on. I appreciate the opportunity. I'm not coming on as a candidate. I'm coming on as a Master Mason to tell you about different appendant bodies, because the other two candidates can't be here. So I'm not doing any kind of candidacy speech, of course. Basically, I've been a Master Mason for, 20 something years. My father and grandfather were both Master Masons. Mm-hmm. My father was actually pretty high up in New York and didn't really tell me a lot about it. When he passed, I actually got into Masonry after. Right. So I didn't have the opportunity, unfortunately, to work with him on my Masonic career, but it was nice to still know that he was part of it all the way through. I have a son, an adopted son who's 34. He just became a Master Mason about 2 months ago. Cool. And it was really neat because he actually gave his obligation on the Bible that my grandfather and my father and myself had all obligated on. That's so a lot of tears were shed at the lodge that he was brought into. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. That is really cool. Now, was it the same lodge that y'all went to, or did y'all just bring in the whole Bible, like the heirloom Bible?
I just brought the heirloom Bible. I came from a lodge just west of Orlando.
Sure.
For several years ago, and then transferred over when I came over to Tampa Bay, and I'm living over here now.
That is awesome.
Been a past master, bunch of appendant bodies, and I'm sure we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
But basically, I'm retired from the Army and retired from law enforcement.
Well, thank you for your service on both those sides. It's either way.
Thank you very much. It was tough.
Yeah.
It was tough, but I'm glad I'm done. It has allowed me to do a lot more with my chosen charity.
Yeah.
And it gives me some more time to do things, which is nice.
Sure. Well, I got to ask you, since you said that your grandfather was in it and your father was in it, did you say that your father passed away before you could get in it too?
Yes, unfortunately, he passed away. Both of them passed away long before I got in. But very quickly, one of the reasons I really became enthralled and have a true love for Masonry is because, unbeknownst to me, when I was going through my Master Mason, and at a certain point in the ceremony that you begin to see things, my first attention was drawn to the east, and my father's picture was sitting in a chair next to the Master's.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
You talk about, that was literally the moment that I said, Masonry is for me. Yeah. This is what I want to do. This is how I want to be. Yeah. And I've gone from there.
Man, I got to tell you, that's kind of something that's been a little bit of a crazy experience with me so far is, I'll ask people all the time, what was that one experience in Masonry that gets you? And I can imagine how impactful that was. We saw a guy at one of our local lodges who was actually, he received his grandfather's past master apron. He was 4 years old when his grandfather died. His family didn't even know it was around or existed. And I saw how broken down that made him. So, with you having that experience, wow. I mean, that gets you. And then, for guys like me, I wasn't raised in a Masonic family. And so my moment and my experience was that moment that my name changed from Mr. Candidate to brother in the EA. And that's the thing that I will hold on to most, because that is exactly where I'm at. But those experiences that get us, what was that initiatic experience for you? So if your father passed away and you didn't have that living bond there, what was kind of what brought you in and is like, my dad did this and I think I want to do this too. What was that like?
I had a neighbor who found out that my father had been a Mason, and honestly would not leave me alone. He would not, he wouldn't leave me alone till I joined. And I'm glad he did. It took me a while, doing the things I did in the military and such, kept me away a lot of times.
Sure.
But it was interesting to see someone have passion because they knew that was something I should be in and I should do. Yeah. And so I thank them too for that.
So was he your top signer or
he was my top signer.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's very nice of him.
That is that's kind of funny. I got a couple of guys like that who are kind of the same way, except they want me to be that way with them, and I'm like, well, come on, just ask me the question. Just come over here and ask it. But that is really cool. So what date did you say that you were raised at? Do you remember the date or the time period you were raised?
It was October of 01, 02, something.
Oh, so you're one of those old guys.
I'm one of those old guys. Yeah, I've been here for a long time.
The past master with the grumpy grump. That's what you.
Yes. Yeah. That's not the way how we did it in my day.
Right.
That's my favorite thing.
I can't wait for that day one day. Whenever you go to a stated meeting now, what was that like? When we all start that experience. And it's like, I'm finally a Master Mason. I can go and attend the Master Mason Lodge, and you're excited. And, some guys are very quiet. They don't try and put any input in the lodge or anything like that. And then you got some guys that is like any chance they can stand up and talk, they're up and talking. What was your experience like? How did you kind of like ferment yourself within the lodge? How did you get to that?
Well, I came in like most, young and stupid. Didn't really know what I was doing. And
right.
So I thought I had all these great ideas and I wanted to move
like
up
you're
real
talking
fast.
to me right now.
Well, it is. We're kind of chatting here. It's exactly. And it's funny because you come in and you get excited about things. And fortunately, unfortunately, but fortunately, our line wasn't really strong when I came in. So about my third year in, I was already senior deacon.
Wow. Yeah.
So I moved up very quickly. I took over a lodge. I ended up being master for 2 years and actually monarch with the grotto 2 years also. But
right.
It's just, you look for people that are willing to do things and willing to work hard and have fresh ideas. And I was fortunate enough that they saw that in me and they pushed me for a leadership role,
right?
Which helped me tremendously.
So are you still pretty active within the Blue Lodge?
Oh yeah.
How's your Blue Lodge experience compared today than it did in the past whenever you first got in?
It's a lot different. Of course, different lodge. I was never in line at this lodge. I transferred over to Tampa Bay 252, the friendliest lodge in Tampa Bay. And they really are a very strong line, very friendly brothers, very active brothers. They do a lot outside of the lodge. Unfortunately, my time kind of limits me to, just attending meetings and not getting more involved than I'd like to be.
Right.
But it's a lot of fun to go because it's always good to see friends. I brought a few members in there. We sit together, we laugh, we joke. We make it a real good time.
Yeah. Well, I got to say,
whatever you make it.
I've never met anybody in Tampa Bay that I just wasn't cool with. For some reason, that town and I get along very, very well.
I wouldn't tell the Colorado Avalanche that right now because they probably don't want to hear that.
Well, they're probably not listening. If they do, they can send me an email.
they don't like us Bolts over here because we're getting ready to win the Stanley Cup for the third time. So
you're right. So what appendant bodies did you get in, and how long after you became a Master Mason did you get into those?
Well, it's funny. I did the obligatory. As soon as you get your Master Mason, there's always someone there standing in there with a petition for York Rite and Scottish Rite.
Yep.
I joined both right off the bat.
Oh, really?
I'm not as active as I'd like to be, but I'm a member.
Sure.
I joined the Sojourners, being military, of course.
Right.
And now I'm a past president of the Sojourners.
That's cool.
I'm currently president of my High 12. High 12 has had a huge resurgence, especially in Florida and around lately.
Right.
What we did is I was approached by High 12 National and said, hey, we'd like you to start a High 12. I said, I'll only do it if I can do it under my terms.
Right.
And they said, well, what terms would that be? I said, I want to do a brewery club. Instead of having a lunch or we meet somewhere and eat and, that's it. We go from brewery to brewery within Tampa Bay, which there's 400 in Tampa Bay. And then we meet at a different location We have different drinks. We have the same meeting because High 12 travels.
Right.
And we've been wildly successful. And there are dozens that are starting up molded like ours because it's become so popular. So High 12 is a really big resurgence now.
So what is the High 12?
My dogs are barking.
It's all good. Yeah. I've heard of High 12 and I've seen it online, but I don't know what it is. What is High 12?
It is basically a lunch relaxing club. It's predominantly been for older Masons, like very older Masons.
Well, you got to be retired and not working to get real active in it.
It's true. And they support the Walcott Foundation, which gives money for government employees as they come through college. They're going to give themselves to government service. They get stuff from us for that, which is really nice. Right. But it's matriculated from just a lunch group gathering, get in, get out, to there are now supper clubs, there are cigar clubs, there are beer clubs. And it's a new way to do things. And the first vice president, Mark Notes, and the third vice president, Eric Kleinbach, are good friends. Yeah. And they share the same ideals. They want to see it become younger, better, more appealing to Masons, because we all know Scottish Rite and York Rite are very strong appendant bodies. Yes. And as is the Shrine. Now, that's one thing. I'm actually not a Shriner.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I just never
got one fez under your head, huh?
I just, for some reason, I just never got to the Shrine. I'm sure one day I will join, right, but not right yet. You gotta love technology, which is kind of funny, because this is actually what I'm really pushing for Masonry wide, right? Is to embrace technology. Yes, we are younger, we are faster, we communicate in a different way, and if we don't open up these channels like this podcast and Zoom meetings and things like that, we're gonna fall behind the wayside. Yeah, and other bodies and other clubs that nothing bad about all these other clubs. They're going to start embracing this, and we're going to lose Masons because they want to communicate their way. Yes. So we're really, this is something I really hold passionate about, is making sure that we are appealing to the younger generation. Yeah. Yeah. We cannot ask the younger generation to come in and do things our way. They're going to walk. Yeah. We ask the younger generation to come in, and then we ask them, how do you want to be served? How do you want to feel a part of Masonry? Yes. And then you need to adjust. Well, I got to say there, I would put it as, how do we want to serve? Because I can come in and, with whether I'm junior steward, senior steward, whatever I am in the lodge, I can come in with my phone and have a very powerful tool to order dinner for the lodge. I can send out a group calendar to the lodge. I can send out all of the pictures that we can possibly send from the lodge to show excitement and create that passion in Freemasonry. And, we have a lot of guys, but not necessarily in my lodge, but from what I hear around the nation, is there's just a lot of guys that just are like, that's not the way we've did it. That's not the way we've always done it. We know that this way works. Well, is it working when your membership is declining so much? And I'm not saying that members is numbers and quantity is the end all be all of everything, but is it really, really working? Or did we just think it was working? Because now we have a way we can track it. And I really like using technology to serve the lodge. That is the biggest thing right there. So exactly. I mean, I believe in quality over quantity. However, if you don't have anybody, you can't have quality. Bingo. So you have to keep reaching out. You have to keep adjusting. We have to keep changing for the times. I don't want to be the ancient stone cutters that no one hears about anymore because they didn't, move ahead. Yes. So that's a big thing for me. Oh, I get it. And I love it. You were speaking to my heart right here. So, all right. So we're getting back in. We figured out that you weren't, you haven't been a Shriner yet. I mean, you're still living. True. So one day you may get a petition and be like, well, you know what? Let's sign it. But of course, what grotto in my area
And from what I'm experiencing across the world right now, is still very, very new, even though it's already 100 years old, right?
Exactly.
A lot of people have no idea what the grotto is. When did you hear about the grotto, and what made you decide to join that Fez organization instead of the Shrine?
All right. Well, we at one of my early grand lodges, 2 or 3 in, there was a table. Join the grotto. And I had no idea when we hear what the grotto is when you think about, other bodies and what a grotto is. And it seems like a fun kind of thing.
Sure.
So I said, let me ask some questions. And I found out I had a few friends that were in the grotto.
Mm-hmm.
And from the very moment that we started, it appealed to me because it wasn't so serious.
Yes.
Grotto doesn't do a lot of esoteric work, if any. They are the Master Mason's playground by design.
Yeah.
We have a good time. And not only, it's not just we get a bunch of Master Masons together and drink. No, it's Master Masons with a different philosophy.
Yes.
They have fun. Now, of course, our charity is huge. The Humanitarian Foundation gives money for dentistry for kids with special needs.
Yep.
And that's a big deal because I just finished working out a payment out to a dentist right now for almost $1,000 for one child for one visit and that's over and above insurance.
Yeah.
Because these things are expensive. Now, if I can help reduce the financial burden on a mother or a parent, I'm all for that.
Yeah.
If I can do it while I'm having a great time with my brother prophets, is what we call ourselves, prophets.
Yes.
If I can do that and have a good time and connect with the same like-mindedness of fun, frivolity, relaxing, and I like to call it fellowship with a purpose.
Yeah.
If I can accomplish all that, that's where I want to be. And Grotto has all of that. It's amazing that this is what I was looking for. I'm proud to be a Master Mason. I love being a Grotto Prophet.
Yeah. Well, I remember when Marty Haley first came down to my area when we were first setting this thing up. And Marty Haley is the Grand Orator and, on the Supreme Grand Line. And he came down, and I mean, we're all stuffed, right? We're acting like we're Master Masons in a tiled lodge. Our wives are sitting next to us, but we're there. We are there. We are there to do business. Yep. And he looked at us and he was like, "Why are y'all not having fun?"
Exactly.
We're Masons. We don't know how to have fun. We're here to do stuff. And he's like, "No, do whatever you want." And so somebody was like, "Well, how do you set up units in Grotto?" He goes, "You set up a unit.
Yeah,
you say, hey, I'm going to do this." And so it was like, "Hey, Zach, you want to go do a barbecue cook-off?" "Yeah, absolutely. Let's go do a barbecue cook-off." "Hey, for all you esoteric guys who still want to do ritual work, y'all want to set up a degree team?" "Yeah, let's do a traveling degree team," So we just kept on bringing all this stuff in. And I got to tell you, it is super cool to be able to have a meeting, unless it's one of the tiled meetings where we have to do business. But it's really cool to be able to have a meeting and bring your wives and your kids in.
Yep.
And you eat a steak, you drink a beer if you want to drink a beer. You talk about stuff. "Hey, guys, we got this much money in the bank account. We okay?" "Yeah, we're good. Let's just move it on,"
Yep.
That is the really cool things. And then our wives are hanging out together and our kids are hanging out together. And it creates this whole cohesive community. And that's where I'm at, I like Freemasonry through community. And I found for myself that the Grotto is excellent at doing that because we need all the Master Masons from around the area to work together. And our families need to be connected as well.
That's exactly. Grotto really brings families and encourages family interaction above and beyond any other appendant body or masonry, in my opinion, of course.
Yeah.
But knowing that my wife, who's huge Grotto, she's very, very much into Grotto. She loves everybody there. The girls get together and do things all the time. They have a blast. And I know that all the brothers there are there to have some fun.
Yeah.
They're there to do the right thing, of course, but at the same time, have a good time doing it.
Exactly. Exactly. What is one niche that you think that the grotto has over appendant bodies? Because I am a Shriner myself. So I'm a prophet. I'm a noble. I'm in Yorkite. I'm a Blue Lodge Mason. Maybe thinking about getting into Scottish Rite in October. But I have these discussions with other bodies, and I'm like, you really need to look in the grotto. You need to check it out. What is that one thing that really separates the grotto and makes them different from the other bodies?
As being a member of all the other appendant bodies, minus Scottish Rite or the Shrine, of course, I just feel relaxed. If I was going to use one word to describe the grotto, it's relaxed. Yes. I can go in now within due bounds because we are Master Masons. We're bound to the laws of our Masonic state. I get that. And we all follow that without an issue. But you just feel relaxed when you're at a grotto, meeting, when you're talking to other grotto friends. It's friendly, it's fun, and that word comes back up again. It's relaxed.
Yeah.
I like to be a relaxed Mason right now.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing to me. I can go to my cart unit in the Shrine, and we can go ride go-karts, and 3 or 4 of those guys are in the grotto with me, and we'll have a good time. If you're around me and I'm around you, we're going to try and have the best time we can possibly have. And the feeling and attitude is always different, though. There's something that's just a little different that lets you have a little more fun in grotto, and I love it. So I agree with that. It might be that relaxed feeling. It might be that, hey, we're not trying to get away with stuff, but we can just kind of let our hair down a bit, put on a goofy shirt, wear a black fez.
Exactly.
And that's, I got to put my black fez on now because I do love it. And if I don't, Matthew Fisher.
Oh, look at that.
Haboob,
there you go.
Al Haboob Grotto, You can go and put on your black fez whenever you want. I mean,
mine is actually packed for Supreme, unfortunately, because we have Supreme coming up soon.
That's cool. If you don't want to be as cool as me, that's cool.
I wish I could if I didn't have it literally in the bottom of things I've packed already, because I don't have a meeting between now and Supreme. So everything is literally because I am running for Grand Line. You have to market yourself.
Sure.
And one of the ways is a hospitality room. Now, I know hospitality rooms at Grand Lodges are fun. Don't get me wrong. And I've had a good time at them.
Yes.
But you ain't seen nothing yet, my friend. You come to Supreme and see a hospitality room. These guys go all out. They compete. Nationwide competitions for who has the best hospitality room. Candidates get one too.
It was 2 Saturdays ago? Yeah, 2 Saturdays ago. I happened to be in a hospitality room with Marty Haley, Jim Drake, and Jim Hicks.
Yep.
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. That there was a lot of hospitality in that room.
And there you go, right there. You can see yourself. Those 3 people, Jay Hicks, Marty, and Jim Drake, who's the Grand Monarch of Grottos International right now.
Yep.
But when you walk in, when he walks into a room, you don't go, "Oh my God, it's the Grand Monarch." Everyone stop talking and sit real quietly. No, you have a beer with him.
Yeah.
Or you smoke a cigar.
Yeah. I didn't even have a choice. It was like, I walked outside and I said, "Oh, hey, Grand Monarch." And he just handed me a cigar. And I was like, "Oh, all right, we're doing this. Let's roll."
And that's what is so awesome about the grotto. It doesn't matter if you are the Grand Monarch or you're a 2-day prophet. We're on the same level. We do the same things. We have the same amount of fun. We have the same kind of fellowship. Yeah. And that makes grotto great.
Yeah, that was my first experience at the Southwest Grotto Association with other prophets from, other areas.
I'm so sorry I couldn't make that. I actually had shoulder surgery. I had my left shoulder replaced about 3 weeks ago. So unfortunately, I was still dealing with that for the first week during Southwest Grotto. That was actually on my plans to get there because I've been to a bunch of them.
Yeah.
And they were a lot of fun. Every single one, Pennsylvania, Midwest, Ohio, Empire State, Old Dominion, Florida State, Southwest, Southeast, every single one of them has just been almost like walking into your own house.
Yeah.
It's so
Yeah.
inviting. It's so nice. Everyone has a great time. We split
Yeah.
off and then by the pool, but then we're all together again. And then we're eating dinner and then we're going out somewhere or doing something fun. It's always fun. It's
Well,
always fun.
I drove. I see. I was all uptight and worried about it. Again, my Blue Lodge sticking in me. I got really, really not upset. I got really uptight and really worried because I had to leave my house at 3:30 in the morning to go pick up another prophet and then drive to Waco, Texas to get there by 9 o'clock.
Oh, yeah.
And, you're not thinking that you're going to get hungry between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., but you get hungry and then you eat breakfast. And now it's like, oh, well, I got to make a pit stop here and there. And so we were running 30 minutes late and I'm just kind of freaking out. I'm speeding down the roads, freaking out and all that. I'm like, man, they're going to chew me out. And I'm like, well, I'm a red tassel. I can't even do anything anyways. And so we end up walking in and introducing ourselves in the proper way and all that. And it was just like, it was a party. It was like, oh, it's about time you showed up. And hey, and I'm like, who are these people?
Yeah.
What
That's how we are.
Yeah. Yeah. So let me ask you this.
Sure.
What exactly is the officer's line in the grotto? Because a lot of people won't know it. So, you did mention Grand Monarch, right? Who is the equivalent of the Worshipful Master of the East. What are the other positions in grotto, and how do they kind of compare to something that a Blue Lodge Mason would understand?
All right. A Blue Lodge, if you start, we'll talk the top three officers in
top three.
a grotto, just in a grotto involved.
Mm-hmm.
You've got your junior warden, senior warden, worshipful master in Blue Lodge.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, that equates to venerable prophet, master of ceremonies, chief justice, and then monarch.
Mm-hmm.
Monarch is like the worshipful master. In the grand line, it's interesting because we're one of the largest grand lines in the appended bodies. So we have 8 years. There's 8 grand line members.
Yeah.
You start at Grand Captain of the Guard, and you move all the way up to Grand Monarch. Several different steps along the way. It is a huge commitment.
Yeah.
And the commitment is on you. It's not like you get into the grand line and then things are paid for. No. You pay. This is all your travel, all your accommodations, all your associations. That's on you.
When did they take the free out of free will and accord? Because at some point, it's just got to be will and accord.
I certainly would like to find out when it becomes free, because it ain't free. But it's our charity. That's what we've chosen to do for our charity.
Yeah.
And I mean, come on, this year alone in my travels for my campaign, I have thrown axes. Right. I have shot a corn cannon.
Hey.
I have lost my wife in a corn maze.
Did you lose her? Or did she lose you?
She got mad and she lost me. But I found my way out, and it took her and it got dark. So it got a little touchy at one point. I've been to a professional hockey game. We've been just everywhere you can think of. You're seeing a new whole location. I went to Peoria, Illinois. I didn't even know Peoria, Illinois existed.
Right.
And now there's a drink named after me in Peoria. Because that's the kind of fun when the grotto gets involved.
Yeah.
Crazy things happen.
Yeah.
And, to be able to see what I've seen across this country and experience what I've experienced along with my brothers and sisters in the grotto is just a great thing.
Yeah.
That's what makes it fun. Now, the difference between grand lines is, travel.
Yes.
You have a grand line even as large as Texas or as long as Florida, as I'm from Tampa here, that, they have to travel within their state, and there's a lot involved. Well, you start getting the grotto, you're traveling international. Yeah. We have grottos in Puerto Rico. We have grottos in South America. We have grottos all over the world, and we're looking at growing more.
I believe I heard a rumor there's one starting in Paraguay.
Paraguay, yes, that's correct.
I mean, who in the world decides to start a grotto there? It's nuts.
And anywhere there's not a grotto, we can make it happen. I mean, if you want to look at Scotland, England, Japan, you name it, anywhere in the world is kind of our oyster, because we are an international organization.
Yeah.
And we're able to service internationally, which makes it neat. But it's a little more travel than other things.
That is
It makes it
super
tough.
cool, though. That is
Yeah.
super cool. What is the or sorry, you actually just answered that
Oh,
one. Have you ever ran for a Grand Line office in your
no,
home jurisdiction? No, no
this
desire
is
to. Who?
now, not really. This is my first one.
Yeah.
Honestly, I had thought when I first got in masonry, oh, maybe I would in the future look for a Grand Line in
Hmm.
Florida. But then I got in Grotto,
Yeah.
and I knew immediately that my focus and my life, my Masonic life, was going to be geared toward the Grotto.
Yeah.
And that's where and my wife and I had long conversations about this, because without your spouse being involved, it's almost
Yes.
impossible to be in a Grand Line running or being involved. I mean, there's a
It's
lot you
it's
have to really have.
impossible to be a good Blue Lodge Mason without your wife's.
Well, yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, you gotta have a happy wife, happy life throughout the whole
Yes,
Masonic career. I
I
mean,
totally agree.
you have no idea how many guys will actually message me and say, I really want to be a Mason, but my wife doesn't want me to. Do you have any tips or any tricks? I'm like, well, first thing I want you to do, so I want you to get on Netflix and I want you to look up Inside Freemasonry.
Hmm.
And then
Good.
I want you to get on Amazon Prime and watch 33rd and Beyond, right?
Hmm. Yep.
If your wife still thinks that this is crazy by the time she watches these two documentaries back to back, like binge watch them,
Hmm.
and she says no, then you can't be a Mason. Like
It
you
is
just,
tough.
yeah, you
I
just,
mean, you could, but it's going to be a very tough road, and it's not going to be as fulfilling as it would be to have your spouse
yeah.
involved.
Well, I wouldn't go
Now,
against my spouse. She watches too much 2020 and Dateline. You know what I
there
mean?
you go.
If I go
Yeah.
missing, look for her.
Well, now take this to a new level. If you're going to
Mm-hmm.
run for a Grand Line position,
Mm-hmm.
basically your wife is running for a Grand Line position by
Yes.
default. She
Mm-hmm.
becomes a Grand Line lady instantly, up
Yep.
to the first lady of Blue Lodge or Grotto or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. So, she has responsibilities. It's not like, hey, I'm just supporting my husband.
Mm-hmm.
No, she has work. There's actual work to do. So it has to be a team. It
Yeah.
really has to be a well thought out, well discussed team. And after some long discussions with my wife, and we decided how we would do this, that's
Yeah.
when I decided to serve in this capacity.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a Supreme Council District Deputy now, which is like a District Deputy Grand Master in Blue Lodge
Mm-hmm.
for a few grottos in Florida. But I always knew that my calling for service was helping Grottos International as a whole,
Yeah.
not just my little section of grottos. I've been very
Yeah.
successful in Tampa with my grottos, but now I want to look at how can I help serve the entire realm.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. You know, like we said before, this is you aren't campaigning on this
No, no.
platform on this channel right now, but win or lose, where do you see the grotto going and where would you like it to be in the next 10 years?
Win or lose is the same thing for me. I want to see the grotto grow
Mm-hmm.
exponentially,
Yep.
because every new grotto, every new prophet is a new opportunity to serve children in that community.
Yeah.
So if there's a community that doesn't have a grotto, they may not be receiving a possible care that we could offer.
Yes.
So
Absolutely.
more grottos, more service,
Mhm.
more help to the communities. I always say this: when I stand before the pearly gates and I'm being judged, and they say, Jeff, what did you do in your life?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, I helped millions of children with disabilities get the dental care that they deserve.
Yeah.
Oh, well, come on in.
Yeah.
That's the kind of thing that I think about. And while I'm doing all this, I'm having a blast
Exactly.
because I'm seeing great friends. I was just talking to another prophet from New York a few minutes ago. It's a great connection when you have grottos. It's just a wonderful connection.
Yeah. That pretty much wraps up my questions. Is there anything that we've missed or anything that you'd like to touch on or discuss?
I just encourage everyone to take a look at the appendant bodies in your area. See if there's a way that you can serve your best way. If that is as a Blue Lodge Mason, then serve your best service.
Yes.
If that is a Scottish Rite Mason or York Rite Mason or a Grotto Prophet, serve your best service.
Yep.
Have the best time you can. If you're in an appendant body and you're not comfortable there or you're not happy there, take a break.
Yeah.
Look at other ways to serve. because the worst thing that grottos or anybody can do for Masons is burn them out.
Yeah.
And I hate to see that happen. I want to see people serve, but I want to see people have a good time serving at the same time.
Yeah.
Now, we touched about Supreme a few minutes ago. Are you thinking about coming to Supreme this year?
I am probably not going to be able to make it because I've had so many random travel plans.
Yeah.
And I know as soon as Grand Monarch Drake hears this, he's going to like put his hand through my computer screen and grab me. But I don't know. I don't see it working in it right now. But let me tell you something. I've been the type of guy who just hops in the airplane and goes somewhere every
There
now
you go.
You know
Well,
what
I'll tell you, it's a lot of fun. It's Grand Lodge on, as I like to call it, Grand Lodge on crack. Because from the minute you get there, last year we started a Facebook thread that continues today from last Supreme.
Oh, Lord.
And just chatting and having fun and talking about where we're at and what we're doing. These are the kind of things that happen at Supreme.
Yeah.
I walked into Supreme several years ago, not knowing what I was going to expect. And I walked out on cloud 9.
Right.
Because it was just the culmination of so much fun and so much activity and seeing all the friends that I've talked to in the past and I hadn't really met because we have distance.
Sure.
You know, there's grottos all over the country. So unless you're traveling all the time, you're not seeing these people except once a year. And you talk to them on Facebook or you talk to them on the phone. And then you see them and it's like, hey, it's like old home week. Well, let's start having some fun.
Yeah.
So I encourage any prophet, definitely try to go to Supreme. Supreme is just an experience that it's second to none. I love every year I get excited for Supreme. I cannot wait.
I do know that my wife was talking to one of the other grotto ladies and they were talking about Supreme this year. And my wife was kind of in the same position that I was. We don't know, you know, it's kind of random for us right now to try and make that trip. And then they mentioned New Orleans, which
that's next year. Yeah.
New Orleans from my place is like pretty easy to get to. And so my wife is like, I know you really don't like New Orleans, but we ought to give it a go with friends this time. I was like,
you'll have a new appreciation for New Orleans because when Victor Mann is Grand Monarch, which that'll be his year, and that's where he's at. And that's one thing that's interesting about the grotto, different from other appendant bodies. Every Supreme is at a different location.
Yeah.
Chosen by the incoming Grand Monarch.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why you have an 8-year line, because you don't go to the same hotel every year for your general conventions. We go to a new hotel. So we have new contracts, new logistics. That's why it's such a long line. Basically, when you get in line, you start planning your Supreme convention 8 years ahead, because you have to.
Yeah.
So, but knowing that you're going to a whole different I've never been to Cincinnati.
Right.
So I'm looking forward to seeing what Cincinnati has to offer. The grotto, if they're smart, and they do every Supreme that I've been to so far, they highlight something in the city. So there's a tour, or they tell you about things, so you're not just going to the hotel, staying inside a Supreme, and then getting on a plane and leaving. You're doing something in the community that you can learn or know about the area that you're visiting.
Yeah.
A lot of fun. We're going to see a Reds game. We're going to go on a riverboat cruise this year. There's always things going on. Last time I was in Pittsburgh, we did a boat cruise too. We were on a riverboat and had a blast.
Yeah.
But these are always extras that other appendant bodies don't always offer.
Yeah. No, I was just sitting here thinking about it. I was like, you know, when some of these international past monarchs start popping off and getting in Grand Line, and it's like, hey, you want to come down to Brazil? I mean, these are going to be really, really cool. I mean, really, really, really cool. So that's awesome. Yeah. Thank you for sharing on that. And
thank you.
I agree. You know, I tell everybody that I'm just a little old government worker. You know, so I got my PTO and I got a little bit of money in my pocket, but when I get the chance to go, I try and go. And I encourage any prophet out there who's listening right now, get to Cincinnati, have fun, have some fun.
It's always a good time. We always have a blast. And I say this, always remember that you're a Master Mason first.
Yep.
Everything falls back to you're a Master Mason.
Yes.
There's nothing higher. And you talk about that. You're a 32nd degree, 33rd degree. No, you're a 3rd degree Master Mason. That's it. Yep. Everything else is kind of fluff.
Mm-hmm.
And you always have to remember your roots. One of the things we talk about in the grotto is, when's the last time you went to your Blue Lodge?
Yes,
are you active in your Blue Lodge? What are you doing for them?
Mm-hmm.
Because you can't just say, okay, I'm this Mason, I'm this Mason. No, we're still Masons.
Mm-hmm.
So we never forget our obligation. We never forget why we're here. We've just gone to an appendant body or an allied body to see something a little bit different.
Yeah.
And that's where grotto falls in.
That's awesome. That is awesome. I found you on Facebook, and I saw the link that you had showing your whole travels of the world right now and the times and places you're going to be there. Where can people go to find out more about you if they're interested?
You know what? They can go to jeffsnyder.org. JEFFSNYDER.org. Yep. That has actually, that's all about me, all my history. There's a place that shows my campaign.
Awesome.
And just, you never know. I love dogs and have fun. That's what I do. And my wife.
I'll make sure we get that link in the bio there. And
fantastic.
Brother Prophet, I have to thank you so much for coming on the show. Again, I apologize for the craziness. You guys, I'll tell you guys the craziness about this story of trying to connect later on. But thank you so much. I wish you all the best in your travels. Be safe. Enjoy July. Enjoy Cincinnati. And whatever happens, brother, I think that you are a great voice for Masonry, a great voice for the grotto, and hopefully we'll get to meet each other in person someday soon.
Oh, definitely. No matter what happens, the grotto still moves on. It still thrives.
Amen to that.
And the craft decides, and it'll be a good thing either way.
Absolutely.
So we're looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Brother Jeff. I appreciate it.
Thank you. The honor was mine, and have a great day. Thank you.